The only adjustment I would make is to move the audit report up to follow public comment, just so that the auditor can get on. And we got quite a bit to do tonight, so he can just go about his way. That's it.
At this moment, we will entertain a motion to approve.
So
The motion is to approve the minutes of the January 4th, 2025 meeting. All those in favor? Those opposed? Public comment. This is the time that we have for public to comment if they would like. If there's anybody that would like to speak, we ask that you tell us who you are and where you're from, and keep things as generic as you can.
David Cameron from Plymouth. I'll keep it brief because I have a big meeting tonight. I just have concerns for the rest of the board, just at the building committee meeting regarding taxpayer money used for the lights. The initial investment is $53 grand, and they're looking at a total of $360,000 for the lights. Some of that is to be raised through fundraising. I think all that money should be raised through fundraising. That's just my opinion. And if we're still using Drummond Woodson, I would like us to maybe perhaps consider using a different firm. Not super happy with some of the things that have come out from them in the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
Anyone else in the public? Moving on. This, we would like to hear from the auditors.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Edwards from RHR Smith. Regarding your audit, we're just going to go over some highlights. You had the highest opinion, which is unmodified. We found no fraud or material misstatements while working on the audit this year. During our compliance testing, we tested Title I and child nutrition this year, which they had no compliance findings, which is always a good thing. Financial condition for the school department is great. Your fund balance grew from $9.2 million to $11.7, which is a $2.5 million increase from the previous year. This was due from returning $2.4 million of expenses back to the general fund. You had a budget of $33.8 million and spent around $31.4 million. You had no overspent funds in your budget, and the largest lines underspent in your budget were regular instruction and special education. You had $1.6 million in assigned fund balance for FY25 for your budget to reduce the taxes. And there was also $3.3 million in capital reserve funds, which was an increase from the previous year of $2.6 million. Regarding any comments that we had on the management letter, the only thing was student activity accounts, automating them to put them onto the software, which we've had discussions with Joe about in the past, and he's working on them to get it automated. Other than that, if you have any questions, happy to answer.
Any questions from the board?
you need a motion. Joe and I go back and forth. I don't know if we need a motion to accept it, but I mean, it's already been sent to the state, and it's kind of,
I make a motion to accept the audit for 2024.
There's a motion second on the floor to accept. Any discussion on the motion?
Joe, a question.
absolutely.
Joe, how do you feel about the audit?
Good. As far as the, are you referencing the audit results or the audit, like the audit firm district relationship?
The results of the audit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very pleased as far as obviously, I think the audit proved out as far as there was no findings in the audit. So as far as it was a very clean audit, everything went smoothly. I think you know, the controls are in place and things are going smoothly. So.
Thank you.
My question would probably be for Mike Costello. I noticed we ended up in surplus in special education by over $1 million. Is that because of changes in out-of-district placement?
Part of that is our district placement that we haven't used starting the Deerfield program. Part of it is that when we have the grant funds, we put people into those grant funds and spend some of that money and not use some of those places, and then some of it's just not having the ability to find bodies that fill the positions that are there. Joe, was that?
Yeah, no, that's the big dollar share.
So, we put the 300, we put the money into, yeah, it is a lot of money. So we put some special ed money into a special account, so we don't have to continue to budget that. We met today with Stella, and try to bring that back down, so we have a little bit of buffer, because it's $125,000 we do have to give us an extra placement. That's not including if they have an ed tech we have to purchase to get them there. So it's still a gamble, but yes, we try to do that. We try to look at some staffing, and again, staffing comes and goes. You see the number of people that resigned. And then, like I said, we did put a lot into some of the things that we purchased. We wanted to maximize our grant funds that we got from COVID, and that's gone. So it's we recognize it's a fair amount of money. So we're going to spend some of it tonight.
Anything else? There is a motion on the floor to accept the audit report. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to reading of communications.
Yes, with the building administrative communication packet. Nothing for the superintendent.
And reports.
I'm going to not do mine. I mean, we're kind of holding things together. It will be brief. It will be between staffing and students. We tried to hold things together. We had 200 kids out of the middle school a week or so back. We had 100 at the high school. I know the elementary schools have had 12 to 15 employees out and trying to hold things together to try to get to vacation. I mean, you know, probably in your own households, the sickness comes through and somebody gets it and somebody else gets it and somebody else gets it. And then now we're starting to see a rotation because Somerset was in pretty good shape and now they're coming back around. So we're just trying to, and they've done a fabulous job holding their buildings together. I can't say enough about that. Larry, same thing with transportation. We've had a couple of hiccups where we've combined some runs. We recovered some runs because getting drivers back, but then we've had combinations because there's 3 or 4 drivers out. You know what that's like. So we're just trying to get to vacation, and we have quite an agenda that I'll probably talk quite a bit about tonight.
Okay. Budget Finance did not have a meeting, so we move on to building.
So the building committee met January 15th and just before this meeting. With the January 15th meeting, we had an extensive meeting with football boosters and the athletic director about the football field lighting. We have made inquiries about what it will cost for CMP to run 3-phase to that side of the street. And rewiring for a board, for a distribution panel on that side. The target is to put that at the soccer shed, right? Track shed, which then can be distributed to the other buildings that are over on that side. So a little later, we'll see that motion come through. We also will see a motion come through with the EDS boiler update, where we have gone through the contracts with Siemens, getting the costs of the project ironed out and the agreements that we needed in place. We did get the revolving renovation fund in the amount of 600 plus?
660.
660, which was primarily set aside to do the ADA compliant bathrooms for EDS. So we'll see that come through, and we'll talk more about that later. Today we did get numbers, as our public comment, had mentioned. The turnkey price on the lights by Musco is $360,000. The football boosters are actively working on raising that money. There's several other avenues that they're going to pursue. And the other option that they presented today was what they call the poles in the air model, which is the poles and the lights, but they don't run any electrical connections from the panel, and that we have to provide that, and that's $275. What they have asked us to do, and what I put forward as a motion now, is that the board approve the football boosters to continue fundraising for this project. Part of that is that if they finish their fundraising and make the purchase, we will allow those lights to be installed. And then we will also commit to connecting them to the electric on that side of the thing and allow continue operation of those lights. That's a motion going forward.
Any discussion on the motion?
Second.
There is a second. Any discussion on the motion?
What's the motion?
The motion is to approve the football boosters to continue to fundraise for the lights. And as part of that, that means we will accept the lights, the installation of the lights, when they will allow the installation of the lights. And we will allow connection to the electrical and then operate the lights going forward.
Which is our commitment of $53,000.
That's a separate motion altogether.
So our commitment on that motion is paying the electric bill for those lights?
When we turn them on, yeah.
And do they need our approval to continue fundraising?
No, but they would like that official recognition that they are doing this for this particular project.
They thought it was easier for fundraising if they had our blessing.
Do we have any estimate of what the cost for running the lights will be?
I don't think they have a specific cost. I do believe that they're very, far less expensive than the ones, the halogens or the old ones that we have. I mean, the specs call for the most efficient light there is, but I have no idea what they cost.
Jen?
So the lights are to have football games at night, right?
Yes.
They're going to be on the football field, but not necessarily driven directly towards football is the difference. So to have the connection across the street, and we've done so much research on what this could do for community outside of sports, and that's what we've been talking about for quite some time. So just a couple of things that some other schools are doing is they're doing literacy under the lights during the summer for children to keep them involved, to keep them reading, to keep them involved in their education. They've done walkathons, dance-a-thons in the evenings as well throughout the warmer months to generate revenue in that capacity for people to give back to our current communities. They've done outdoor movie nights with blow-up screens, all through donation that they charge like $5 to attend, so that money goes back into the cost to run the lights or some kind of program that you're designating that money to go to for that evening. And then the Nights of Wellness I thought was really interesting, that they have the kids come on separate nights other than the literacy nights, and then they're doing like kickball, dodgeball, little things like that to keep children involved in school activities, especially during the summer and fall months when things are on the slower end of things.
Will the district be responsible for maintenance of the lights?
There is a contract, to my knowledge, with the light company that comes with the installation. I don't know
With
the
us
exact
or
because
with
we're
the
not,
boosters?
I'm sorry.
Would the contract be with us or the boosters?
I don't know. I don't know the answer
I
to
would
that
assume
question.
that it would be with us.
Yeah.
Any idea what those kind of maintenance fees
You guys
are?
know.
Like changing light bulbs, fixing with the on?
Chad, I think the new lights come with 25-year warranty.
Yes.
What was it?
Isn't it 25-year warranty
25-year
for Musco?
warranty.
That covers everything?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Any other questions? Comments?
Well, I would say it certainly would be nice, I mean, I can see as I read through this, that I can kind of gather the numbers, but it would be nice if the whole thing was more laid out with a, specific budget.
I think it's impossible to do a specific budget though, because costs are going to go up the longer that it's weighted. So, I mean, what we've been told is it's dollars and cents, not hundreds of dollars to run the lights. And that's coming from the people in Lewiston that installed very similar organization to what we're looking at. They said it's extremely minimal. They're not seeing much difference at all and they use theirs a lot more than we'd be using ours because their fields are multi-purpose.
Is there a possibility for, like, has anybody talked to Herman or anybody that has lights as far as, what they see for costs, like per game or? I mean, it's just a lot to ask us to say like, okay, we're gonna do this, and then you have no idea what the projected expenses will be.
Musco estimates less than $100 per game, so about $25 an hour to run the lights.
So are we going to be working within a time frame, or is this like do the boosters have X amount of time to raise the money? Is it just an ongoing thing, and when they have the money, then this comes, or is it like they have it a year and then you flip the bill for whatever's left that they haven't fundraised? Is that, what kind of timeline are we looking or getting ourselves into by committing to this?
That's not established. They will try and raise the money.
So is there any guarantee to taxpayers that taxpayers will not foot one penny of this bill? Because right now it doesn't sound like it.
For this motion.
This
For
motion,
this motion.
there's no money attached to this motion.
There has to be if we're committing that we're going to put power across the street. That's what you
That's
just,
a separate motion.
you just said commit to connecting and commit to pay for monthly electricity. Did you not say commit to connecting? That's not meaning connecting electricity across the street.
That's not about, that's connecting to the power that will be across the street once that's there.
So if we pass this motion, you get momentum towards
Fundraising.
funding.
Yes.
Which they've always been granted permission in the past to fundraise, but now they just want it on the book saying that the district is okay with them continuing that process.
I have no problem. They can fundraise all they
That's
want.
what they're asking for.
Well, they're asking for that and to pay the bill once it's, there is a money commitment to that piece. I'm all for fundraising and whatnot, but the motion as it states is that we are going to be, on the foot for the bill.
Frankly, these are minimal costs once we have power over there and these lights are
Well, it
up.
seems
As
a
he
bit-
said, it's about $25 an hour.
$53,000 to commit to putting
That's not on this
electricity.
motion.
Right, I understand that, but that's not clear then if you can't answer how much funding you have or what the timeline is for us to, you have a cost of $53,000 that we're going to, right now, under a motion, I guess reading between the lines, committing to, without having an actual motion we've already committed to fundraising at the last meeting, didn't we? Commit to allow the boosters to fundraise, so why are we having another motion for the commitment to fundraise?
Well, I thought we had two, but I was told that the last time we did this, we actually just gave them the light bulbs and told them to go ahead and start.
No.
I think we allowed them to fundraise.
And that's why we went
Totally
through
allowed.
policy and policy, the agreement for signage, and talked about businesses and size of posters for advertising. So wasn't that motion to give permission for fundraising?
It is. Chris's motion is the nuance of his is that if they raise that money and they hand that, they want to be able to have the assurance that you're going to accept the polls from them and allow them to hook into the electrical if you make the motion to so go that route. They need that insurance that if they go to a business, they're going to say, they've allowed us to fundraise, they've allowed us to connect when and if we fundraise. There is no commitment to that if they don't do this in a certain amount of time, that they've told us that we are on the hook for anything other than your second motion down the road. There's no, above and beyond that, what you have from the board building committee, there is now this $25 an hour, understanding that it's not $300 an hour, there's no $500 flip the switch fee, from my understanding, it's these high quality lights. Granted, trust me, I'm just telling you the facts that I know at 360. It's not a number to, laugh at. But we now have that number because we've gone from 175, 150, 250, 275, 500. We've been there. So they've done their due diligence to tell you what the number is. Alicia did her due diligence on our side as far as the building committee needed it from the administration that it's 53 to get this one. Those are the facts tonight.
So just to be clear in my mind, regardless of what this motion is, the plan would be that we would be paying $53,000 for electrical hookup.
If you approve that motion.
Which I realize is in the future, but this is one that is leading to that.
Can I add something to that, Mark, that you just said?
Yeah.
That 53,000 that hookup would not only be for the lights, that putting that power over there would be the scoreboard that they need to be upgraded. It would be running better power to the snack shack over there. It would be running power to the other field. So, and we could run it back across if we wanted to. So it's not that 53,000 for that power. Would it be specifically just for the lights?
Yeah.
But if we don't approve it, then the lights don't happen, right? I mean, it's a necessity for the lights, but it's also
The power has to be upgraded across the road for everything over there, yeah.
But
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
or I would say, would this go to the superintendent's office too, or no? Just the sports?
Pops on that corner post right there by the edge of the track shed.
But if we needed it at the superintendent's office.
We have
for
it.
welding
It can be
machines,
done.
We have 3 pits.
We have it
Oh,
at
we have
at the office.
Can I go with that?
You can give me a minute to find out if it's done. Okay.
I make an amendment to pass on the cost of extending three-phase power over there, the 53,000 or whatever it's going to be eventually, to fundraising to boosters, not boosters.
Point of order. That is not
But they're not.
related to the motion. We have a separate motion.
My amendment is going to guarantee that any cost for shifting the three-phase over there will not be a burden for the other two.
They have to have a second.
I'm not sure how we're going to agree to that amendment because this is not just for the lights. This is an upgrade for the entire side of the road and can be reversed back. So it's an electrical update for the district property, not specific to the lights. So it's not just going to benefit the light system, it's going to benefit everything that happens on the other side of the road. So the boosters should not be responsible to update the electric for everything on the RSU on that side of the street.
Do we have a second to that amendment?
Second.
So I'm just curious, because were we looking to upgrade that electrical at all?
It wasn't on my radar, right?
But it was discussed when we discussed putting the welding project over there. There's going to need an additional unit of power, and you cannot do that right now without an upgrade.
We have 3 phase
Right.
at our building.
But it still has to be run, and it's still going to cost a fee, isn't it, to run that? Isn't that what we discussed
We have 3 phase
on that side, in that building?
in our building.
Can we comment on the amendment?
In a second.
Go ahead.
I think the money, especially in the future, over the next few years, could be spent far better and on things like, you know, some of the other extracurricular activities. We guys get classes, anything, teachers, other sports, they're all underfunded. And I understand the football boosters are a great organization, and they fundraise a ton of money already for their football and re-gear everything every year. But I think that money can be better spent in other locations in the budget.
All right, any other comments on the amendment?
We're not voting to spend the money on the football field today. We're voting to upgrade the electric so they can fundraise and hook them up if they raise that money. So I think all of the conversations are getting jumbled into one, and it's not. That's not what we're voting on. So I'm confused as to what we're actually going to raise and say yay or nay on when we're all talking about something different.
Can I clarify?
Point of order, we have to vote on the amendment first.
Correct.
May I clarify my amendment?
Yes?
It essentially takes out the part where we are going to put the 3-phase over there and pay for it. So the amendment, you know, that part would be basically stricken out.
Right, I think if I'm understanding correctly, you're just trying to solidify that district funds are not going to go towards this project.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, what did we just spend in the auditorium over the last summer?
With grant funds, $700 something.
Okay, thank you.
But it was grant fund.
It was grant funds, right, but we're just,
So I guess so everyone knows, in order to have any type of scoreboard update, all of the things across the street, we're updating the electrical. That's what we're trying to do, is get up to code, get everything over there and done. So when fundraising does happen, they're looking at writing a grant to pay for the additional, to pay for the lights, if and when that does come. They're not looking to spend district money on the lights at this time. They're not asking for that. They're asking for permission to continue to fundraise and eventually we're going to vote on getting the power upgraded so we can potentially do things across the road, is what today was all about.
All right, so we have an amendment. And that amendment is?
If I paraphrase, Chad, it would be to amend and add the $52,000 to the boosters portion of fundraising.
Before we vote on that, can we just hear what Chris's original motion was?
So the original motion was to give the football boosters approval to continue fundraising for the lights. And the caveat to that is that we will be allowing the lights to be installed on RSU 19 property when the purchase is made, and that we would be committing eventually to running, to connecting to our electrical system and operating the lights from that point forward.
All right. All those in favor of amendment? Those opposed? It does not pass. So we're back to the original motion.
I'm sure if we do the electrical, I'm with, I think, it's a sticky situation, like we've talked about before, with not knowing like what the cost will be down the road. That's the only concern. You know, like if the electrical needs to be upgraded, that's fine, and I don't think if we're gonna use it, the booster should pay for that. I would like it to be a little bit more solid on what our, commitment is going to be down the road expense-wise.
Yep, I just want to make sure I thought that's what you meant. Melanie, Ray, Chad, Tanya.
So now for the original motion.
Point of order.
Yes.
Do we have anybody at the table who has a conflict of interest, who needs to recuse himself from the vote having to do with the boosters? We don't have any actual members.
You have an actual member, but I can vote clearly.
No, you can't vote, that's conflict.
Okay, then I will sit here.
All right. So all those in favor of the original motion?
Yep, Ray, Joe, Joe's going to do a roll call because he's got this already in his system in front of him. So the votes, weighted, and it's alphabetical, so he's going to call you.
Yeah, my last name. So as far as I'm going to start, Karina? Chris?
Yeah.
Melanie?
No.
Ray? Oh, Ray?
Ray? Yes
You
or
gotta say
no?
yes or no on
Yes
the
or no
amendment.
on that vote?
Can you sit in the middle? Yes.
Mark Guzzi?
Hesitantly, yes.
Mark Hanson?
Yes.
Jessica? Robin?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Tanya?
No.
Jason?
Yes.
Chad?
No.
And Jessica?
And Jenny.
You mean me, Jenny?
Oh, whoops. Yeah,
Yes.
wow, I must have, well, let's see, did I do, your yes, Jen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, never mind. I said Jessica Hawthorne,
She's not here.
who's not here.
I am, I'm right here. You're thinking of Jessica Treadwell?
Treadwell.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry, my help. We'll see if we get it. Yeah. Make sure I got you, Jessica. Okay.
I think she
Okay,
voted.
so yeah, that's a 10-4, so
Right, too.
that passes.
Thank you.
Pass it. Very good. Any questions for the building committee before it ends? Moving on.
Are we gonna have another amendment for the actual amount now?
Later on.
Down the road.
It's in the.
Moving on to the education committee.
So Lori and Casey came and they presented curriculum to us and how they use it for the development. It is a never-ending process. It has been ongoing, so they pretty much started this head-on about 14 years ago, and they just keep building upon it as standards come out from the state or things change. So it is never-ending, but it was a good presentation. I do have the slides, so if anybody here wants them, Casey did share them with us, so let me know if you want the slides for that presentation, and I will share them.
Any questions for education?
Not a question, just a comment. It's amazing to see how much effort that they are putting into all of the things that they're doing. Like, it's quite unbelievable, actually, the time and effort that goes into it, and it's not just the school year. I know a lot of people think that. I mean, it's like blood, sweat, and tears during the hot summer months and on vacations and everything else, so just congratulations, they're doing a really good job with that.
Any other comments? Moving on to policy.
Policy committee. Well, we met and we have a few policies for first and second read. We did, if you're looking at the minutes, talk at length about the electronic cigarettes, vape, tobacco, etc. But we don't have anything new to put forward on that. But where am I right here? So for first read, I would make a motion that we accept for first read two policies. One will be expense authorization and reimbursement, and the other is travel expense authorization and reimbursement procedure.
Second.
And I believe we have neither of those on our books currently.
That's true. These are two things that came through the audit, and when we do a lot of, looked into some of our grant funds, that these are two recommended policies that we did not have on the books. Joe came up with some examples, so that's what you're looking at here. But we do not have these. We recommended that we do have them through the grant processes. And just good financial practice.
Running by our listeners or not typically brand new?
Could. Did you get them from
The one template is from MSMA, and then it's a blend of that versus other district policies that exist out there.
Once the expense authorization and reimbursement goes into effect, how will the developing of the schedule reimbursement rates, how will that work? Will that also come to the board for approval?
The mileage reimbursement rate?
Yeah, does it
So
go by
that-
federal standard? Or?
We use the state, so the state updates it every year.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor of the motion? Those opposed?
And for second read, we have, I guess I would make a motion that we accept for second read a new curriculum development and adoption policy.
Second.
And we had Lori and Casey come and join us. We discussed that policy again, and they seem to think that that aligned much more closely with what their actual work is these days, as opposed to the old policy.
The $50 in-state or out-of-state for travel up to 3 meals, are gratuities included in that $50 expenditure, or is that additional? It's $50 just a whole lot if someone's gone and that's 3 meals a day, so the whole thing is additional. Not where I travel, I mean, that could be.
No,
fun.
Are we talking about the curriculum policy?
Jump back.
So that's back to the
Oh,
travel.
did I go to a different one? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll flesh that out.
Okay, thank you.
Second read.
All right, thank you.
Okay, there is a motion and second on the floor to approve the curriculum development and adoption. Any discussion on that motion?
Just a question, I wasn't at the meeting. Was there explanation of that on page 1, paragraph A, the sensitive to initiatives?
So we did talk about
What that meant?
those standards and some of that language. Ultimately, I believe as a committee and with the staff there, they felt like some of that language really did capture how they look at this. So in that section A, those sort of form the basis for the state standards.
Right. I asked this last time, was what did we mean by the staff will be sensitive to initiatives such as the Common Core and extra? What's the intent of that?
So to the extent that we discussed it, it was said that that sort of indicated sort of an awareness, not necessarily a strict following.
Okay. So that goes along with the latter part of the paragraph, that's what I want to make sure.
Yeah, and that's why they wanted to leave it in, because they felt like it.
I just want a clarification. Thank you, Mark.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor? Those opposed?
And if it's okay, I would lump the two. I would make a motion to accept for second reading advertising in schools and athletic field signage agreement.
Motion second on the floor, any discussion on that? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? It passes. Anything else from policy?
Not that I can think of.
Transportation? No meeting? Negotiations?
We met last Wednesday with the teachers group and agreed to the ground rules and have follow-up meetings scheduled.
Very good. Tri-County?
They meet this Thursday, weather permitting. Online.
Online, won't they? So who decides if it's
I told him, I said, pull the board and see who can make it virtually in the snow.
oh my heavens. Moving along, extracurricular. We were
Gene and I
supposed
talked twice, we gotta get that going, we're gonna do it on Tuesday, in front of another meeting.
Moving on to new business. Bathroom renovations at EDS.
Yeah, per the grant, we have to accept getting the revolving renovation fund at this, and they go through a whole process of bidding and procurement and talking to our attorneys. So this is, again, $660-ish, 70% paid by the state in a 10-year loan, 40% by us, that we will have to figure out how to pay with the revolving renovation or that process, but we do need to actually vote. We did put, if you remember, we put the whole project in, the boiler project along with this, the ADA upgrades clearly were more along the lines of what they wanted to accept, but we're fortunate to get that money with really no interest, and it allows us to do that large part of that project with that money. So, any questions?
I'll make the motion to accept the revolving renovation funds for bathroom renovations at EDS.
Motion and second on the floor, any discussion? Mark?
So can you just quickly describe to us what we're accepting $660,000 and we'll have to spend $400,000?
No, we're going to spend 180. And they're going to give us 4 something. Alicia, can you give those numbers so I'm not speaking?
Yep. So the amount funded is $609.55. The maximum loan amount is the same. The portion of loan to be forgiven is $420,669, and the portion of loan to be repaid is $180,286.
And we get all the bathrooms?
And it's over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
So the $180,286 over 10 years, you have to pay back.
So we'll have a very small payment in our budget that over 10 years, and that's all of that.
Is there any reason we couldn't pull that payment out of our capital reserve rather than put it through our?
I'll bring that to the budget.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? Passes. Yep.
All right, so I feel like we've talked about this a whole bunch of times, and I know we've approved this, hoping we would get revolving renovation fund. We did not get revolving renovation fund. When we went with Siemens, they've asked us, because I believe the size of this project at 1.289 is something that they want to have us establish our escrow account so that they know the money's there. We know we have the money. But I did not want to approve that without your approval. The Siemens portion for that escrow is actually $900,375.03. Some of that we're going to need to make payments on in the next March, April, May-ish. So part of this motion, I'd like you to approve us using the capital improvement, but also allow us to create that escrow account. Knowing that, again, through the budget process, will we continue to use continue to use capital improvement, or will we take a look at our balance forward, and knowing we have to spend some of that down when we put this project in starting July 1st. So it's kind of like a stopgap method, but for Siemens purposes, basically, they need to know we have that money, and they've already talked to Scout Egan Savings. Joe and I, it's kind of like a formality, so. You can make a motion in second, and I can discuss it further.
Right. Chad?
I make a motion per Mike's request so that we can discuss it.
Motion second on the floor, and now any discussion.
In your request, did you say if there was anything to decide before we approve the money?
Nope, I just want to make sure it's crystal clear that we're going to do this project because Joe and I feel better.
Well, this is definitely a capital improvement.
Yes, it's definitely got improvements. And I want permission to this, you know we're going to spend that because you guys have the authority from the community, like Joe had said in our meeting. But it's crystal clear that you've been given the authority to spend capital improvement. We're going to spend a little bit of capital improvement to get this project started because we're going to oil the boiler. We want to oil if you remember this whole project, we've got a panel that's going to come. They're going to have the panel built and put it in and have this down in a minimal amount of times. But yes, I just want to make sure you have all this clear so you're not saying, what are we doing here, what are we doing there? And now it's come to clarity because, again, this was all wrapped up in the revolving renovation fund that we did not get, and I want to make sure we're rolling forward with this project.
So there's no financing for this?
We would recommend that you don't finance this, because that would be, again, through Siemens or through your own bank, and that would be a huge interest rate. And again, this will also roll back through Finance Committee before all said and done.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those opposed?
Thank you.
Moving on to three-phase upgrade to service.
Mike, you can run that one.
I could certainly run this one. This is the motion that you all have been waiting for. This is the one where the building committee has discussed this, the ins and outs of it. And then, so when we had our first conversations, we wanted to have, instead of having some nebulous number, we wanted to know what it would take to put the power on that corner right over there by where the pole is now, upgrade it to three-phase. And then we are clearly the owner of the power. So we sure went and talked to CMP and got the bill of $25,001 something to do that work, and we have not paid for that, but it does sit there as an invoice. And then the second portion of this, to make it $53,000, is to have Common Electric 28, to get it to the 53, bring it, whatever's on the pole, down into a box inside of the track shed, so that it is sitting there ready for whatever happens on that side of the road next. And And that's the meat of this motion.
Make a motion to earmark $53,000 for the upgrade to three-phase power to the football field side of the property.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Chad?
Is there going to be a cost for any design or architecture?
Already been done.
It's already been done, all the digging and...
Yeah, they came over and checked the site and,
So,
And,
go ahead, Alicia.
the engineer from Central Maine Power does that, and there's no fee for that. Like, that's tied into their cost, Central Maine Power's cost, which is that 25,000.
Any other?
Yeah.
25,131.05.
Okay.
Is there any, what's the guarantee that we're going to actually hold other events over there? I mean, do we have any idea of who's going to be organizing it or whatever? Or is it just going to end up being used for football?
I would assume that, like, your middle school is going to want to have, could have a track event over there, your middle school could have soccer over there, your middle school could have track, any type of activity over there. Your high school is going to have more functions than just football. You could have a relay for life, you could have a band, you got the band could practice underneath there, out there. You could have soccer over there, you mowed it right from one team, probably field hockey. So you never know what you would do over there. Just like Jessica said, the options are endless. You have power on your lights over there. Thank you. Did you have some boosters have any other ideas?
Not at the booster side, but I'm pretty big in the PTA for the elementary school here at Sebastopol and the middle school. And we host an annual jog-a-thon event for the elementary school. We love being able to utilize and host events for kids. And that just gives us another opportunity and a venue and a time to be able to do that. So
You could have a massive trunk or treat.
it's, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking like the amount of revenue that Herman brought in for their homecoming just that one night, they brought in over $6,000 in one night. So, you know, if we ended up deciding down the road that we wanted to spend, the boosters had to pay this much money for that season or the next season or something like that and push money going forward, we would have that opportunity to raise more funds on, because there's more people that can go in the evenings than they can during the day.
Brenda?
So that kind of, where, do you have an idea of where you want this money to be coming out of? Or is it going to be put forward in the upcoming budget?
There's two options there, and that was discussed at the building committee. Three, at least three. One could be if we don't spend money in our regular building budget. We hope to spend it all, we just have a lot of things that are going on. We could push it to July 1st in the budget process, or we could use capital improvement, or we could go with
Will we be seeing things in the budget if this is approved, like new scoreboards? And is this going to be an opening of the floodgates for things that are going to be added to the budget because it's approved?
Can't or won't?
Big bet is a yes.
Any other discussion?
Just a clarifying question, we're saying we're approving this if, or are we doing it anyway?
This
This
is
is-
anyway.
This is a motion to make it happen.
This is an infrastructure improvement.
But it wouldn't be able to be used unless we get football lights?
No,
No,
Okay.
it'll be used all over.
Now, Karina's going to order a scoreboard.
So what I'm saying is when we open up our budget packet, what are we going to see in there
Right.
because of this?
Any other?
There's
I have
been
a
no
question.
discussion of that, I will tell you right now.
There's gonna
It's
be lots
working
of
fine.
discussion.
Mark?
Not that it's going to change my mind, but was this approved unanimously at the building committee level, do we know?
I believe Ray may have been on the fence, but I think we've talked about this for long enough, and seen both sides of it long enough that I think it's pretty unanimous.
tell you, Mark, I've been seeing this for 13 years, and it was going on before that. I'm about ready just to say, let's spend $360,000 and be done with it.
Okay.
But, that's aside.
That's not the motion.
That's not the motion.
All right, any further discussion?
So, just to clarify, it's $53,000, and that amount won't go up unless we make another vote.
That amount will not go up.
That's it.
Yep.
All those in favor of the motion?
Am I allowed to vote for this one? Thank you.
Those opposed? It passes. Moving on to staff resolution.
We have Mary Netto retirement, Gwendolyn Rapp, Giraps, personal, Eileen Mayer retiring, and Alex Rosengren for personal reasons.
No action needed.
I want to thank Mrs. Netto for her many years of service, for her guidance for my daughter going through Nokomis, all the other events. I think it has given us blood, sweat, and tears, and greatly appreciate it.
What is the date of the resignation? Is it this right now?
No,
Or
it's the end of
in
the
the
school.
summer?
June 30th, whatever day we get done.
Maybe a few extra days.
August, no.
June 30.
That's on what happens like Thursday.
Any, I would like to say, Mary, it's been a pleasure working with you, and we will definitely miss you.
Thank you. I said it in my letter, it's been an incredible ride, and like all the different people I've interacted with, this board included, I've always felt very supported and enjoyed getting to know many of you and working with some of you as students. It's really cool to see you as board members now, and it's just been amazing. I just feel very grateful. My time here, I've had different roles, and I was ready for a different challenge. I was supported by my superintendents and the board to kind of stretch my wings, so it's been quite a ride.
Madam Chair, can I read the resignation?
You most certainly can.
For the record, dear Ms. Hammers, with a full and grateful warrior heart that I write it and share my intention to retire at the end of my current contract of June 30th, 2025. As I reflect on a 37-year career in education, including 33 amazing years in Nokomis, I find myself at a loss for words, which is amazing, to truly capture what this journey has meant to me. I am deeply thankful for the professional opportunities I've had in Nokomis as part of MSAD 48 and RSU 19. Each role challenged me, allowed me to grow, and gave me a chance to spread my wings. Serving as principal of Nokomis Regional High for the past 16 years has been an honor, privilege, and the experience of a lifetime. I liken it to an exhilarating roller coaster ride filled with hard climbs, sharp turns, where I wondered if the car would stay on the track, and many moments of pure joy. Now, as I prepare to step off this ride and return to the station, I know one thing for certain. If given the chance, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. Education is above all a people-centered calling, and it's the people who have made my career so extraordinary. The students, staff, parents, community members, board members, and countless others I've crossed paths with have left an indelible mark on my life. Mike, I hope you know how much I appreciate your leadership, support, and friendship. You've made this very demanding job easier. This has been an incredible journey, and I leave knowing that I've given it my all. I hope that in some way I've helped make Nokomis a better place. As I step down, I do so with a full heart and no regrets. Nokomis will always be part of me, and I will forever remain a friend of RSU 19.
Does it say go Warriors at the end?
Go Warriors.
Mary.
Go Warriors!
Moving on.
No nominations, appointments, Samantha Braley, Ed Tech 1, Special Ed Somerset, Scott Cowett, Ed Tech 3, Special Ed EDS, Joseph Springer, Custodian EDS. Felicia Davis, from Evening Custodian EDS to Evening Custodian at Nokomis Regional High Middle School. And that's that. I do not expect us to go into executive session to discuss my evaluation, so you can skip that.
Very good. I I will tell you that out of a possibility of 17 board members, there were 13 that completed the evaluation. Just some stats on the first question, communications, out of a possible 60 points, he received 48, or 3.69. Number 2, community relations, was 47 points, or 3.61. Leadership was number 3. He had 51 points, or 3.92. Decision-making, number 4, was 50, or 3.84. Curriculum, number 5, was 42 points, or 3.23. Organizational management, 52 points, which was a 4. Personal management was 52 points also, or a 4. Professional development was 50 points, 3.84. School facility management was 53, or 4.07. Finance and budget was 50 points, 3.84. Superintendent board relations was 53, or 4.07. And number 12, the overall effectiveness rating was 48 points, or 3.69. So what I did was I took some of the comments. There were not many, and so I would like to read some of those. On question number 1, which was communications, one board member said, wish there was more communications, but I do think it has gotten a little better in the last year. And that resulted in 3. Also, Mike's communication has gotten much better over the years. You received your 4 for that. Question number 2, which was community relations. One board member said, I always think there is a better system of informing the community. There really is minimal information that ever goes out to the parents or community involving educational practices. You received a 2 for that. Also, Mike has taken feedback and does a good job trying to communicate with the community in a timely and appropriate manner, especially with tricky, sensitive situations. And that resulted in a 4. There were no comments on 3. There were no comments on 4. There were 3 comments on number 5, which was curriculum. First one was, the board hears very little about any curriculum or course of study and how they are assessed. You received a 2 for that. I have heard some recent feedback and comments from folks with some concerns at the middle school. Not sure this is appropriately placed on Mikeville. You received a 3 for that comment. I also find this question a bit odd. Most objectives are administered at the state level, including student achievement. Mike does a good job organizing the departments to work with and develop syllabus reflecting the state level curriculum. You received a 4 for that. Number 6 was organizational management. And the comment seems to understand requirements and have a good relationship with administrators. You received a 4 for that one. Number 7 was personal management. I assume and hope this is all being done as we don't hear complaints. However, we aren't informed on any of the management practices. Number 4. Question number 8 was the same comment as question number 7. Number 9, there was no comment. Number 10, which is finance and budgeting, there were 2 comments. One was, I would like to see some bigger cuts in our budget, which resulted in a 3 score, and lights on the football field was the number 4. Number 11 question was superintendent board relations. 2 comments. Mike's attitude and approach is very much appreciated, which was a score of 4. And I believe Mike is very dedicated to his job and the district, and that was also a 4. And number 12, overall effectiveness rating, there were 3 comments. One was, I base my evaluation on what I have seen in the past few months, with the understanding that some of those attributes do not apply to my interaction or experience with Mr. Hammer. That was a 3. The next comment was thank you, which was a score of 4. And then the last comment was overall, I think Mike does a very good job, and that was also a 4. So I think there was a pretty good evaluation this year. Any? 1 through 5. Any questions, any comments for Mike? Anything you'd like to add? I will entertain a motion to accept Mike's evaluation.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Mike, I thank you for another great year.
Communication with the public is always a tough one. Because some people want more, and then some people are stop blowing up my phone and sending me text messages because I don't care. So I honestly feel for him in that situation because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So.
Any comments from you?
Yeah, no, I would say communication, I talk to my admin team about it all the time. It starts with me, and I should take responsibility for that, but it is extremely frustrating because you never know how people want to communicate. And I feel like the schools are the most important thing, and I know they pump out information to their families, I would hope, so that they're not, there shouldn't be too much miscommunication. From my level, I try to keep you guys informed because you're my bosses and that you're that important. And like if I do have to send something to the communities, it's usually directed to a school, something's going on, and then if it's a district-wide emergency, clearly you guys, we do that together as a team. But communication is always something that, if you nail that 100% of the time, you're amazing. I am completely committed to this district. I've told you that multiple times before. I appreciate the positive feedback. I appreciate the areas that I can improve. I can always improve. I enjoy working with this board. You have a tremendous amount of work on your plates and a lot of issues going on, and you're a large board. And you all, like I said, have your own lives that go on. And this is an easy business. It's not easy. It's not as easy as I think people think it used to be, or ever was, and now it's even more difficult. And a lot of you guys working very closely with teachers because you have students in the system. A lot of you work in the systems, other systems. The administrators work very hard. But again, I have a great team. They make a lot of the things that I do easy. But I'm completely committed to this district, and I appreciate it.
Anything else? Let's vote on the motion. All those in favor? Those opposed? Moving on to future agenda items. Ray.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to somebody out of a small city, Washington, D.C. the other day. And I was talking about education and what President Trump and just thought of that just 2 seconds ago. Department of DOGE, or I'll call it Doggy. So President Trump, he is going to gut the federal policy, the Federal Department of Education. If that happens, I guess I'd like to know how many federal grants we got, what their name is, how much is it, and also what is the goal. If in fact he does, and he intends to do it, matter of fact, I think he said he started it, that's going to have significant impact on us now and for the future. There are only a few things that we can do with that, is that we can use local money to continue with the grant, he cuts off the checks. 2, we can abolish the program. Or 3, some other deal. But no matter what, it's going to affect you next year. So the budget committee really ought to know these answers here so we can plan for the future. But don't forget, it's going to affect us this year. He does not intend to wait any longer than he can. So I couldn't help get a hold of a senator, and the senator agreed. So folks, get ready. We're going to do this locally. We know how much we need to know. They'll tell us, our people, how much the federal grants are, if you want to replace it or you want to fund it with money. And if you fund it with money, it'll almost have to be this year, depending when he stops the flow of the cash. Now we have state, but if the state is affected by the feds, then that money's going to dry up.
I think you can look in our,
And I love giving people good news.
So in the audit, there is a schedule of expenditures of federal awards, a complete list of all of our federal grants.
There you go.
To a total of $5,548,266.
Joe, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to reference that schedule.
so, well, we'll talk about it later.
So we will have Mike and Joe work on some figures so that we.
I would appreciate, I'm glad to do that.
Well, like you said, it's pretty well spread out. Some of it's food service, some of it's things that, you know, they're probably, it would take some type of a law to be able to take away.
What would be nice, like, is the number of kids participating in the program and what their grade levels are.
Anything else for future agenda items?
I will just say, we've done a pretty good job. Salary-wise, we're going to work through the finance committee because we have some areas in terms of our administrators that are going to be rotating through that we kind of have to take a thoughtful approach to. And some of our directors switched over, and as you know, some of our principals, the teachers that want to become principals, there's really kind of no difference between top teacher and administrator. So just realize that that's going to come to the budget committee, because I think that's where the conversation needs to be. Robin and I had one conversation about it, but just those people on the budget committee just thinking about that. Joe and I will try to come up with a plan to make it happen over time, but we've got some that are 13% below. It's not even the regional average, but the regional average is not below the state.
We'll also point out that your substitutes are below your regional average.
Moving on, next board meeting is March 11th. And at this time, we are adjourned.